What's up, everybody?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Sermon Break.
Welcome. Happy Monday, everybody.
We're back, ready
We are.
to discuss Lisa Harper's message from this past week.
Powerful.
I love when she comes to Elevation.
I know.
She's one of my favorite Bible teachers by far.
Definitely, and definitely like a family, Elevation family at this point. I feel
Yes.
like she's been here a number of times, and always amazing message. This one was great. Had a good long comedy skit at the start. It felt like, but really tied it in and dove into the Bible,
Yes.
and it was an awesome message
And
and
she's from
impactful.
Nashville, too.
Yeah,
She's from Tennessee.
Yeah,
So
Nashville, Tennessee. So,
I love it. I love her. And I'm so excited to talk about the message
we're excited.
with
We're
you today.
excited about it.
Good to see you all.
to see
Cagney, I
everybody.
missed you this weekend. Good to see you, Wonder. Rice and chicken for lunch.
Oh, let's go
Your
jumping
mom
on.
says she loves Lisa Harper too. She's a big
It's true.
fan.
It's true. It's true. All right. I want to dive into the message. Before we do, she talked a lot about the 4th of July.
She did.
She talked about, they were able to celebrate that this past week. It's like their Canada Day. So the USA Day is the 4th of July. So
USA Day.
there we go. I'm just going to brand as that. But they call it 4th of July. Makes it easy to remember the date. So ours was obviously closer to the prior weekend. So we're kind of a little bit celebrating different weekends this year. Sometimes it's on the same weekend.
Right.
But what is your favorite holiday? If you had to pick, let us know in the chat. We'll discuss too.
I would
Where you
say Christmas. Christmas is probably my favorite holiday.
It's a great pick.
But I love Easter too.
Okay.
I feel like Easter's really fun. I love all
Hold
holidays.
on, are you just gonna
I love
name them
all
all?
holidays.
She's just going down the list.
And I love my birthday. I don't know if that's a holiday, but I can sometimes make it a holiday,
Okay.
depending.
It's an event.
It's an event. It's an event.
Um,
I feel like yours is Christmas though too, isn't it?
well, I was gonna say Canada Day weekend.
That's not your favorite holiday. I feel like
Well, we always take vacation around that time.
True.
It's close to our anniversary. It's like
Very
usually the
true.
following week. So we usually kind of bridge the gap. So I kind of group it all in together. Summertime's here. It's amazing.
yeah,
There's just lots
there's
to look
lots of
forward
good
to.
reasons. Okay, I could see it.
So I'm gonna do that.
I
do
know.
love Christmas. I do not like the weather on Christmas. So there we go.
And we don't even really go for fireworks on Canada Day. We miss that tradition.
It's about the family, not the fireworks.
You're right.
All right, there we go.
We'll go to fireworks maybe when our daughter's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Thanksgiving is making the list quite a bit here in the chat, which is awesome. Thanksgiving is great. My problem with Thanksgiving is I always end up just absolutely stuffed by the end and feeling like the turkey by the end of the day, and I can never pace myself. It's too much good
Okay.
food.
That's so much good food.
It's so much good food.
So much good food.
But yeah.
Okay, well, Lisa Harper's message, she's so funny. She's a
Mhm.
great teacher. And I found that this message was incredibly moving. People were in tears.
Yes.
I was choking
The-
back tears.
Yes, the ending of the message too, having the ability to just like pray for people,
Yeah.
and having people sit if they were, going through something, and then to have seeing people laying hands on people all over the auditorium was amazing too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the message, but check out this clip and put your sermon takeaway in the chat,
Yep.
and we'll be right back.
I'm so stinking grateful that these saints stumbled. Wouldn't it bug you if they were all perfect and like keto worked for them and they never ever had seasons where they said, I am stumbling today? They stumbled all the time, y'all. And God didn't kick him to the curb. He said, I'm actually going to give you more responsibility. Because as you begin to understand self-reliance is not a spiritual gift, I can actually trust you with more. Now that you become more dependent on me, I'm not just your savior. I'm your sustainer. You need me every single moment of every single day. Don't ever cut the cord with Jesus. We need him to breathe, to live, to get up every morning. We've got it wrong in evangelical circles. We could think atonement is just for salvation. No. Atonement is 360 degrees. It's every day. Today he's making all things.
That's a great clip. I love that
I
part of the
love
message.
that part. That part stood out to me, and you picked the clip
Yes.
today, and when I was listening to it, that
You
was
knew that was the one?
that was the one.
It
That
was-
was been the one I picked
It
too.
was so good. And for those of us that have been around church for a while, it's easy to kind of get into that, like, oh, I should just act like everything's perfect. Okay, let me just like give great gratitude to God. And just like, I think we get drilled into so often that we can't treat God like a genie. So we just only offer our praise reports to him,
Right.
and not actually go into the prayer request sometimes. And that's what I loved about this message, what it was like, even when she referenced, hey, go sit under the tree, have a snack, have a nap.
Right.
I'll come back to you later. I like God. He knows all the stuff that we're going
Yeah.
through. And so I don't know. I just loved it. It was a great part of the message. Very freeing.
It was very freeing. Just even everything that she said was great. I think for me, what I really loved was when she said that revival comes after the pit.
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
was a really great perspective. And I feel like we talk about this all the time, but how you have to go through those low moments in your life. You have to go through those valleys. And
Yeah.
then that's where true revival can happen. That's where God grows you. That's where your resiliency comes. That's where your strength comes. And so many times we can hate the pit of our life and we can ignore, right? And like she was saying, like, oh, just push down your grief. Like, don't be sad about it. Like, it's okay to say, okay, I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling heartbroken right now, but to still hold on to the truth that God is with you and revival's going to come next.
Yeah.
Like he's going to make a way.
Yeah.
He always does. We don't have to ignore our circumstances and just say, well, everything's going great, because that's not reality, right? That's not true.
That's true. And there's been so many times where I've seen that, where like you go through a hard time, but then the revival comes after.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And you have to lean in. And I think sometimes the lean in and the opportunity you have to invite God into it allows for that to happen. For sure. Something she said was getting honest with God narrows the gap between our formal and our functional theology. And I think getting honest with God, what we're just talking about, like, we need to invite him in, and we need to be honest about our emotions. And one thing I've been thinking about is like, oh yeah, God always knows everything. I'm always bringing God into it. I'm always praying honest, like David prays. I love how she talked about the Psalms and how there's more like sorrowful Psalms than there are like praise Psalms.
Yes.
And because David was vulnerable and
Right.
he was open. And I think for me, it just was like a reminder of like, although I think I'm bringing God everything, there's so much that I don't even realize that I'm going through. And there's so much for me that I'm like, how am I bringing God my problems or my issues or my like things I'm struggling with when I refuse to admit it to myself?
Right.
And so for me this week, it's like a soul search on like, where am I struggling? Where are those areas in my life that I'm trying to ignore, that I'm trying to push down, and I might have done it for so many years that I'm just coping and I'm just living, but I'm not actually acknowledging the grief or the thing that's going on in my life. So I can't have an opportunity to bring it to God if I don't go through it myself. And so I don't know about you, but that's for me is being able to wrestle through it personally, so then I can give it to God.
So give it to God. Yeah, it's so important, right? It's so important to not push it down and ignore it, because then those things just build up, and then you get to a point and you wonder why you're in the position that you're in, or why you're feeling so sad, or why you're feeling so depressed. Well, because you never dealt with anything and you never brought it to God. And we have access to God all the time. He promises us freedom. He promises us joy. So why aren't we willing to access it by giving him everything? We don't have to like turn away from him. I think one of my favorite parts of the message too was when she was just really telling the story of how she was afraid to cry in front of her mom.
Yes.
And how there came a point where she was 8 years old and she was crying under her bed, and her mom came and found her.
Mm-hmm.
And then her mom, that she says was all dressed up, got on the floor and like crawled under the bed and sat with her. And I thought that was such just a beautiful picture of how God does want to do that for us. He wants to sit with us in our trouble. And it's funny, I was thinking about, there's this book that our daughter Grace loves to read that's called The Rabbit Who Listened.
Yes.
And she loves this book. She actually has it memorized, and we read it together. It's
crazy.
all about all these animals. We're trying to fix the problem for this little girl that her blocks fell down. Every animal came to try and gave her a strategy, but what she really wanted and what actually provided freedom was when the rabbit came, and the rabbit just sat there and listen to her go through everything that happened and why her tower fell down. And then she was able to build it back up.
Yeah.
And I think so many times it's such a picture of God and how he really does want to listen to our circumstances. And sometimes that is all you need, is to be able to give it, to say to God and just sit in it for a moment, tell him everything that you're feeling. And then you're able to kind of, with him, knowing that he's with you, take on whatever you're struggling with. And then the girl ends up building another tower again, and the rabbit's there, and it's a really cute story. But I don't know, that's what it made me think of.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so important to be able to like to go to God and to have someone there and to have him there to like listen and to just be there. And sometimes we just need to pause and create space for that. We need to create space to be able to just, hey God, I want to spend some time in your presence right now.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. It's not a, hey, I want a bunch of answers. Hey, I need all these different things. It's like, no, God, let me just like be in your presence right now. And let me just kind of go for that. So,
and it doesn't have to be long. Like, I think so many times we think that we're failing, like what she said when she's like, oh, if I could just have another scripture memorized, I'd be doing better. I think for me, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself of like, when we were first married, we had a lot of time for Bible studies and devos and books. But what I'm learning is taking these mini moments of rest with God where, okay, my daughter's busy right now. I'm just going to pray as I sit on this chair. And that's kind of going to be my moment with him. And then I'm going to do it again when I'm cleaning up after dinner. Because if you think that every season of your life is going to mean that you can have this long drawn out, and maybe you are in a season where you can do that but for some of us who aren't, like, don't think that those little moments with God aren't meaningful.
Yeah.
And those are sometimes what you need to kind of keep that connection. Like a friend, you need to be able to talk to them all day. How many times do you text your husband or your friend or somebody else and talk about it? That's kind of what our relationship with God needs to be.
Yeah. God can move in a moment. And so sometimes all you have is a moment, but he only needs a moment. And so take advantage of that moment. Don't discourage yourself by not having a long, drawn out time, like you're saying.
Right.
I love how she talked about don't ache in isolation.
Yes. Right. That was so good.
And I think it goes so along with what you were just saying. Like, don't hide under the bed and cry on your own. Like, invite someone to come alongside you and to be with you. And just so much, it's so important to be able to do that. I was with my e-group guys this morning. Shout out my Monday morning e-group, 7 a.m. Join if you're a guy on here. But we were just talking about the message and being able to encourage each other in it and being able to share, like, hey, here's some things that I've been going through, and here's some kind of grief that I've been walking through, and just to kind of like walk through the message and try to apply it practically was so great, because we were able to come alongside each other and encourage each other. We were able to pray over each other at the end as well, and it was just awesome to be able to have those people that are like, hey, we can just do life. We do life beside each other, and so kind of leads us into our action step for today. All right, plug in. All right, you got to get connected. Because you can't have community if you don't get connected. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you, head on over to connectioncenter.ca. Jump in there. We got a couple opportunities for connection. Number one is our e-teams. Those are our volunteer teams on Sunday. There's something that special happens when you and a bunch of other people go on a shared mission to accomplish something. And when you go and then accomplish literally putting on a worship experience and seeing people's hands raised at the end of the experience and know that their life and their trajectory of their life and their legacy on here on earth has just been radically changed because of the decision that they made, and you get to play a part of it, it's unbelievable.
Right.
And it's so fulfilling. And so I'd encourage you, jump on an e-team. You can sign up for that, join a team. It's there. If you go to connectioncenter.ca, go to the bottom, you can see it there. Join a team or sign up for E101. And be a part of it, because you meet the best people. When you're there on Sunday, you're serving alongside them and you're doing life together, and you're able to text each other during the week. So definitely encourage you to do that. Also, another opportunity is e-groups. I just mentioned my men's group earlier as well. We got groups for everybody on there, and you can really jump in there, find your people that you can do life with. So definitely do that. But that's the action step this week. We also have this Friday coming up,
our worship night.
Woo!
Album release, worship night.
Album release.
This has been much anticipated. If you're anything like me, you've been singing these songs in your car, in your house, and been
Dying
desperate
for this album to come out.
hear them rather than maybe your own voice, like
with
me singing them.
trying to fill in the lyrics with what you think that they are, but you're not 100% sure.
Yeah, that's me right there. But come on out Friday, July 12th, 7 p.m. Get here early. We have like merch, we have fun gifts for everybody. It's gonna be a great
after party.
An after party that just, I won't give away too much, but when wind meets fire, what type of theme do you think of? Okay, it's gonna be so much fun. It's gonna be so much fun. So come on out. It's gonna be a really special time in God's presence.
Bring people with you too. Bring people with you. There's been so many people that like their first time that they've ever been at Elevation Church has been at a worship night, and they've had their life changed through it. And so I'd encourage you, maybe there's someone in your life that maybe you've been praying for or wanting to invite out to church. Maybe this worship night's the way to get them in. Just bring them on out. It's gonna be an amazing time singing every song from the new album, which is amazing. And then you'll be able to go home and literally listen to it in the car because it'll be on Spotify and Apple Music and everything. So definitely come on out for that, and it's gonna be an awesome time.
It's gonna be awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Plug in this week. Don't feel ashamed about your grief. Give it to God and trust that He's with you, and He's gonna help you when we can be honest with Him, and that's all that He wants. So have a great week, everyone.
God bless.